So today we have Axie Estrada, an author, a proud mama, an experienced coach, a softball and baseball instructor, a mentor of over 14 years of coaching experience, and has guided more than 300 athletes through her time. She is passionate about empowering individuals to recognize their worth, building a strong and healthy mindset, and reaching their fullest potential while striving to become the best version of themselves each and every day. In addition to all that, Axie manages 4 different sports teams, supports her own kids through sports and travel and school, and I'm sure a laundry list of other things. Axie, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, that's excellent. A lot of questions just from that alone. Let's start. Where do we start? Let's start with what you didn't have in the intro was the author. You just recently came out with a book. Tell us all about that and how things are going with the book.
I did. So it's called Legendary Built. You can find it on Amazon. And it is a book about my best friend and I. We met at 3 years old on a softball field, obviously. Had some big dreams to obviously do what I'm doing now and play for Team USA like every softball dream is. And what my boys and I have gone through in my marriage I was in to obviously building what I've built right now, Legendary Built, and the family and village around us that has helped heal us, but still make dreams come true.
So, yeah, and I don't know if you're comfortable in speaking about this, here. I haven't read the book, so I'm assuming it's probably in it. What sort of like heartbreak and losses and trials and tribulations did you go through in your marriage that kind of has built you into the person that you are today?
Yeah, so I was actually in a toxic marriage to an alcoholic, and with 2 kids, obviously, that we had. The boys actually have lived at a facility with me since the day they were born. So we weren't in a very safe environment at the same time. So it was a lot of the unknown. Everybody didn't know exactly what was going on. I always kept a smile on my face and stayed strong for my kids, showed up for all my athletes whenever they needed me. So nobody ever knew what was going on behind the doors. But it was a very toxic marriage that I was in. My boys didn't really have a dad. And so literally they grew up with the village that I've built around them of all my athletes and their families. And they always took us under their wings, and showed my boys love and care and played with them while I was doing lessons and just kept them occupied. And all the boys have known is all their big sisters and brothers around them. And they actually helped heal us in the process.
Yeah, from every difficult time comes a ray of sunshine, and I'm sure your kids are great in great shape because of all of their the other big sisters and big brothers. That's tough story, obviously, but a great ending. So kudos to you for overcoming that, and to your kids. Um, you've also had I believe, and I might be wrong, like a weight loss journey over the years too, right?
I did, yes. Working out has always kept me, cool, calm, and collected, and it's that reset button I love doing. So after I had my boys, I was at my heaviest weight, obviously, of 250 pounds, and literally after getting out of my marriage, after having my divorce go through and everything, and that stressful time and stuff, living in a narcissist world of always, you know, being belittled at home and things like that, it kind of just hits clear, and I knew I had to get healthier for my boys as well in order to be that single mama along the journey. So yeah, I lost almost 100 pounds. So I'm down to like 165 now, and I keep doing
How
it
long is
because
it? You keep going.
I keep going. I
What
keep doing it.
That's great. That's great. It's healthy habits. Again, a great lesson for your boys too, to learn that of, and then learning healthy habits, not only of eating right, but exercising and just a way of life. So great. In their book, you also talk about uh, some of the heartbreak that you had in your personal life. So take us a little bit through that journey of what happened. Then we'll get into your playing career as well.
Yeah, so I actually should have 5 kids. Both my boys were twins, and I did have a pregnancy in between. So I have lost 3 babies of my own, um, Amberly, Brinley, and Weston. Their names are. And then obviously my best friend, she actually was on her way home to play our final season of college together, and she passed here in Colorado. So all the heartbreak actually makes you stronger in ways if you allow it to, and it definitely has. And so each and every day I represent them in everything I do just to make them proud.
Yeah, and one of the reasons why I wanted to start this podcast was, I think particularly in today's world, everyone just sees all the, social media world, right? So you
Yes.
see the big hit, you see the big play, you see this person playing on a team, or at least they're in uniform, you see the commitments, but you don't really ever know what happened. Everyone just thinks you're born great, you been great your whole life. You go to college, you're great, and then the world's great. Like that's just kind
Yeah.
of what we've lived in. But that's just it's literally never the case. People have gone through, their own struggles, mental, physical, emotional. May not have played, may have had injuries. I mean, the list goes on. So, not that I like hearing about the struggles and things that people go through, but I think it's worth the audience hearing that the world isn't as rosy as everyone makes it out to be, and you have to overcome adversity at some point in your life in order to succeed, right?
Yeah.
And you've done that on many occasions.
I've done it my entire life. It's all I've known.
Yeah, yeah. Well, take us through your playing journey. So, you grew up in Colorado?
No, so I was born and raised in Arizona, a very small town in Samuel. We were a mining town. So when I was 8 years old, the mine actually closed down, and that's where all my family worked, including my dad. So we had came to Colorado to visit at one time, one of my aunts that lived here, and we just fell in love with it. And so my family decided we were going to pack up and move. And in order to become something else in life, we had to get out of our little town there because we no longer had the mine. So we moved up literally and came to Colorado at 8 years old, and we've lived here ever since. So we've grown here. I went to Erie High School, won some titles there. I've coached there as well. I was part of the 10% back in '08 female athletes who got a D1 scholarship. I went to UNLV, played there my freshman year, and then I actually had 5 family members get deployed out to Iraq during that war, and promised my family that I'd take care of my aunt because it was all of her immediate family. And so I did. I gave up my D1 scholarship because I always tell my athletes the game doesn't define you, it just helps build you. And so I went back home to take care of family and finished out my career at Central Arizona College, which is JUCO there near my hometown, and graduated with 3 degrees while doing it. So still got to take care of family to make sure the other family came home safely.
You may be the most well-rounded and polished individual on every you've kind of you the essence of you've been there and done that,
I
right?
have, I have.
Um, well, for the people who aren't from Colorado in this audience, tell us, how difficult and not only how difficult it is to be an athlete in Colorado and then advance onto particularly a Division I career. Let's just start there. Let talk about um, and what year was that? What year did you graduate high school?
Oh, wait.
Oh yeah, so a ton of things have changed over the years. Softball and baseball have gotten so much better over the years. More and more athletes are making it kind of to the ranks of collegiate sports, let alone Division I sports. But tell us, what makes it so difficult to take that leap from a high school athlete to a Division I athlete, and particularly in softball in Colorado.
We don't see dirt as much and everybody else does. And so when we get to that higher level, they've had a little bit more to go off of than we have here. And the demand is a lot higher, like we get days off here and snow days and things like this, or just the opportunities that we have here. We don't have the resources a lot of other states do. So when you get to the college level, man, you're 24/7. I mean, you're up before the sun is and you're going to bed after the sun's going down and you're with your team 100% of the time. And so even training aspects, the practices are way more structured, more one-on-one too. You're really focused on positions, not as a whole team. Everybody's there doing ground balls and fly balls and stuff like this. Like you're really broken out into individual, and you got to focus on what your main craft is, just because in order to be successful at the higher levels, you've really got to dominate at that position.
Now, as a coach, you're part of this improvement that's happened in Colorado, particularly, and let's just focus on softball. So what are the things are you doing to help better prepare these athletes for their next chapter in their life?
A lot of it comes down to the mindset and understanding, even when you fail, you've still succeeded. And even when you fail, keep trying. And a lot of my athletes, they struggle with, oh, I struck out once this weekend. That's all right. You want that. You want to be able to keep fighting and keep getting better. So a lot of times I already train them like college athletes the moment they step in my door. And I want them to understand that you can handle it. It's all about the mindset. Yes, it's hard, but if you can tell yourself one more, your body keeps moving. And so a lot of my athletes, when they're done training with me and they get to that college level, they're like, Coach, I'm still waiting on the hard, man. Like they keep, telling us there's a hard coming, and everything we do, I'm dominating at it. And I'm like, yeah, you've already been through it. You've done it with me for all these years. So it's a piece of cake when you get there. And they kind of wow their teams because they come in and they're confident. They understand the game still. They, want to take positions and they want to show that I can be a leader out here even as a freshman. And they do. And I'm very proud of them for doing that.
Yeah. And your book is called Legendary Built, from Broken Dreams to Unbreakable Strength: A Mother's Journey of Survival, Healing, and Legacy. Your company, your facility, right, is also Legendary Built. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And so, um, how did you come? So the name of the company came before the name of the book.
Yes.
How did you come up with that name, and why has it stuck with you so strongly for so long?
So I believe everybody has a legacy, and everybody wants to leave one, and it's all about how you go about life in order to create that path. And throughout my life, I've always had a path that I've wanted everybody else to pass, so I've set the standard. And so leaving my legacy behind, throughout sports, now I'm wanting to leave one in coaching. And every time my kids are in here training, I'm always telling them, you always build a legacy in every level of play that you're in. And when you leave me, you've left a legacy. And we have a home plate, my seniors signed to sign off on their legacy they leave behind with me in order to create their new one in college. But throughout legacies, you have to go through all that adversity and struggles and challenges. And it's all about how you react to them and overcome them in order to leave a strong legacy behind that people remember. And so even training these athletes, I always tell them it's easy to make you the best there is in this sport, but it's the person I'm raising behind that jersey that everybody's going to remember. And so I need that legacy to be the biggest one. And they literally buy into it and they just come out one of the greatest humans, obviously, ever to leave me, but to obviously be in this world and impact it and make it a better place.
That's truly awesome. That's great. And what's your specialty? What do you train at Legendary Built?
So we did hitting, catching, fielding. I just took fielding out so I can actually be home a little more with my family. This schedule, it gets long, long days, and so I'm never home. So I just took fielding out, but I specialize in hitting and catching.
Hitting and catching. Okay, great. And you have behind you, it looks like a ton of pictures, some framed, maybe some not. Tell us about that wall of, is that a wall of fame?
So we literally celebrate everything we do here. A lot of my shirts over here, and I still have more to put up. I have over 43 college athletes, so we consider them our heroes. And then I have a few of photos of me in there, just so they can see, like, obviously I did play, did win, but my story doesn't matter. It's all about theirs. So all the photos around it is literally everything that they've accomplished, whether it's school, sports, you name it. We celebrate everything about them because I want all my athletes to understand that in this game, yes, you're going to be doing great things, but it's overall in life. And we want to celebrate you as the human, not the athlete all the time. So they always bring me photos, or I'm getting photos off their social medias, or their parents send me photos. We print them out, we put them all over the walls. Everybody loves looking at them. They get to see the family, obviously, they're surrounded by. And then they enjoy seeing each other at games and they become a competition. How many people can I take a photo with and send it to Coach Axie so we can get on the wall?
That's cool. That's great. And you're creating a family there, right? Like
Yes.
which is awesome. There's always I always think of Cheers, the TV show where everyone wants to go, obviously where they know their name is the theme song, but if people want to go where they have that level of comfort, they feel like a family, they can always go there, whether they're want to celebrate a success or they're having some struggles, if that's the place where they can go to and have that level of comfort, then, aside from baseball, softball, catching, hitting, you're succeeding. You're helping them in life, not just in the game,
And a
because
lot
it
of
does
them,
end.
a lot of them have said this is their safe place. This is where they come and they
Yeah.
feel accepted and loved and encouraged and supported. And I have bigs, my high school kids, they like coming and doing homework upstairs and just listening to everybody down here. And it's like their place they can focus. And it's the only place they can like really, get their homework done, but understand like I'm not missing anything because I'm still around what I love being around, and it's the family and it's the girls downstairs or my boys upstairs, and they're helping them with their homework and stuff like that. So it's a great place.
Yeah, safe place. Well said. Those are the words that I was looking for. So that's great. Um, in your intro, we talked about you coach 4 different teams or organizations. What are those?
So I manage 4 different teams. I have a world's slow pitch men's softball team, and we've known each other for over 20 years. We've all went to school together, grew up together. So they literally travel. They play here in Colorado. They're an awesome group of guys, and they represent all my athletes, including themselves and families, you name it. Half of them play on the basketball team we now have. They love just staying in shape. They're all dads, so they like staying in shape and allowing their kids to watch them succeed in sports to be that role model. Um, so some of the dads or some of the guys I have on my men's team, their sons play baseball. So we have a 12U comp baseball team, and then we have a 12U rec softball team that my stepdaughter's on.
Excellent. Excellent. I played co-ed softball mostly. I did play some men's softball in Colorado, and for those that don't know that, the men's softball, it's fierce, it's
It is.
competitive,
It is.
it's darn right nasty at times.
It is.
It's it's crazy. I did it for a little bit, and I realized, hey, man, I'm better off in co-ed. It's a bit more. My spikes were hung up long before that. I wasn't into that competition, a level of competition anymore. So I enjoyed the co-ed ranks. So I can only imagine what you're up against, coaching men.
They actually do a great
Um,
job. I always tell them we speak with our gloves and our bats because, games can get real heated and stuff like that, and egos come out. And I always tell them you
yeah,
represent a family on your chest. So just remember that. And you're also teaching these kids that are surrounding you here, watching you, what the game should be about. And so, in order to succeed at those levels, even when we're playing higher teams, we speak with our bats and gloves. And the best way to shut people up, all that stuff is literally starting to just beat them at their own game. And that's
yeah.
exactly what my guys do, and they're great at it. They're really good at playing for each other.
All right. All right, we're back from our break from our commercial sponsor there, Rally for One, helping offset the cost of sports participation as well as helping schools and their budgetary constraints as well. Before we took that break, we were just finishing up a conversation on our reminiscing about men's softball, and you made a point that I wanted to just revisit before we moved on, which was we always say this to our kids, right? Someone's always watching, especially in the recruiting world. Someone's always watching. Someone's always watching. So, careful what you say, careful what you do, all those sorts of things. So, yeah, it's funny how you mentioned that of, it can be rough, it can be rowdy, things can be said. And with your men that you're working with, their dads, right? And so if their kids are running around, hey, careful what you say, particularly with kids, right? They do what people do, not what people say, and
Yep.
so your actions, resonate. So it really, be careful on what you say, what you do, because your kids are watching. So it's kind of a great, not yet another sort of great life lessons for those kids that are around them.
Yes. Yes.
So let's kind of get into coaching now, and mentoring, coaching. Again, one of the reasons why we have this podcast is so that families and kids really don't make the same mistakes that you and I did growing up through our playing journey, our coaching journey, our lesson journey, with everything there. So um, let's kind of start with what do you feel like parents get trapped into nowadays, right? um, how do you help them navigate lessons, playing on the right team, the right club, high school navigation, recruiting, all of that? So how do you help them? But what do you feel like some of the traps that they fall into that you help them avoid?
It's literally finding the right team, we see one side of a coach and then you see the other, and I always tell them, "Go and watch the teams play. Go and watch, even from the outfield, the sidelines, and just see what they're about, how they play, how they act with each other, how the coaches talk, how the team, what their culture's like, are they separated? Are they a family?" And overall, that's how or what it'll tell you what that team's gonna be about and if you wanna be a part of it. And so navigating them through it, it's being honest with them and letting them know like, "No, I don't want you to be on that team. We should probably look more towards this way," or "Here's a few teams, I'll give them a list of teams to go try out for." Shoot those coaches some texts, let them know, you have some kids of mine coming out and great families. But I also, on the flip side, tell the coaches the same thing. And I'm honest with the coaches as well. The families they're getting, the player, the athlete, where their levels are, and being overall honest with parents and athletes of where their levels are, and not just throwing them to the wolves and hoping for the best. So
Honesty's tough though, right? I mean, I think
it is.
I'm the same way that you are, and it's easy to be honest from our side, but it's difficult to receive that information on the parents and the athlete side. So how do you overcome that? Of like, honesty can be sometimes brutal in their eyes, or
Mhm.
or like insulting to them, even though it's just the truth. Like you're just trying to help them. So how do you overcome that?
It's honestly just being honest with them the whole time that they're with me in general, and just having that trust that we build within me and their family, and understanding, like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything, and I tell them that right off the bat. I can't just sit here and be like, "Yeah, you're doing great," and you've popped up 5 times. Like, it's really making them understand, you've gotta focus, you've gotta do this, and overall in the lessons journey and coaching them myself, they see that I'm gonna be honest with you because I want you to become better. And if I'm not honest with you, then we're wasting your parents' money and you're wasting our time, and I don't want that to happen. And so building that trust from the start, it really helps that conversation not be so hard. And then they understand I want the best for their kid and obviously for their family. And I don't want to just throw them anywhere on any team. And then it becomes a disaster overall. And now we're still looking for another team.
And it helps obviously that you've built this culture, this family at your facility there. But you did have a stint in high school. Clearly probably didn't have that opportunity or that length, right, of time to build culture. What do you wish that, in general, it doesn't have to be that one school, but in general, what do you wish that parents and, administrators of the high school athlete better understood about high school sports?
About high school sports, it would be, understanding the levels, understanding the kids. They're all different. They're all unique in their own ways. And a lot of times I feel they take the game away. And for high school, it's honestly 3 more months that our girls have to go and play. And they're already exhausted. They're tired mentally and physically. And so it's, how do we make the game fun for them? How do we enjoy that process for 3 more months so that they're not hating life? And a lot of times, my athletes, for instance, they come to me on Sundays, all my high school kids, and it's like, how do we prep them for the next week because it's just not fun anymore? And it's a burnout. And how do we create that atmosphere, that environment right there for 3 more months to be safe, to be healthy, to be energetic, to make sure that they're still in love with this game? Because as soon as October's done, some of them travel in November and they're still dreading it because there's no rest, there's no recovery. Injuries start to happen. They're not to the best of their ability. Where other states they're going to be going up against in November, they're already rested, they're healthy, they're strong, they're ready to rock. And our girls are dreading it. And that's the part that we can't take the game away from them. We can't overpower them with all this conditioning and running and 4-hour practices and all this stuff and still expect them to perform in that next week or the next couple days of their games. We've got to still know they're human behind that jersey, and we got to take that into consideration and help them overcome these next 3 more months. And I believe if we can do that as a whole, not only will these athletes become better, but so will this game and more kids will wanna play at the high school level.
Yeah, and I don't, if you're not from Colorado, you may not know. I think Colorado is one of 8 states
Yeah,
in
I think
total.
so. Yeah.
8 of the 50 states that plays softball in high school in the fall,
Mhm.
not in the spring. And so, yeah, definitely a unique challenge, right? They start, as you said, they might do fall ball starting in November. They go, call it November-ish, November, December, or they might get a little bit off, but then they're going to start practicing again in January. They start traveling on the competitive circuit in February. They're full bore March, April, May, June, July, and then got to roll right back into, the high school sport in August. So you said burnout, and I think that's, the right word, that it's a careful time. Um, as an example, my daughter never played high school softball ever. Part of it was her school didn't have it, where she would have went, yada yada. But it turned into probably the biggest blessing for us. Like it was just this huge escape. She went and played tennis in the fall for her school. She played basketball in the winter, and didn't have that burnout phase because she could just free her mind of softball for a couple months. Not that I'm a proponent of skipping that on the high school side, but for us, in particular, it just really worked out for us.
We didn't
Um,
really have fall ball back then either, and so fall ball starts same time, and a lot of these girls are still required to play on that Saturday or Sunday, and they're like, I have no energy to. I literally got done with high school for 6 days a week, and we got our butts kicked. We ran, we did all this stuff, and now they're still required to go play that fall ball, and it's hard. It's a lot on their bodies. It's a lot on their minds. They're exhausted. They still have school to function through and still keep up with grades, to stay eligible, and they're not even getting enough rest. I know a lot of my athletes, they're getting 3, 4 hours sleep and they got to get up and do it all over again. And it's just not healthy for them.
yeah. So that's the student part of the student athlete that we forget so much about. And
Hmm.
and also trying to remember that it's about the athlete, not about the parents' goals and wishes, which is, also part of why we're doing this podcast. What's some of the best advice anyone's ever given you?
The best advice anybody's ever given me has literally been to enjoy my moments. This game does end one day, and it's been when you're in, you're all in. You never give up, you never give in, but embrace everything that's coming at you and take it all in and allow it to build you. And it's actually something my parents, they coached me when I was younger, and they're the ones that taught me this. And this game ends one day. And so you've got to embrace every moment. You never want to regret back when it does end. And no, I wish I could have done this. I wish I could have done that. And just living in the moment, embracing the moments, and taking everything in, even when it's hard, and allowing it to build you in every aspect.
And is that the same advice that you now give your athletes, or do you have other advice that you give your athletes?
I do. They always struggle with failure, and that's for all of us. But I always tell them the game rewards if you keep fighting, and it's gonna challenge you. When you do good, it's gonna throw that strikeout at you. It's gonna throw that error at you, and it wants to see if you'll give up and allow that moment to defeat you, or if you're willing to keep fighting and embrace it and let it make you better. And if you keep fighting, the game's gonna reward you in big moments. And so a lot of them are now seeing that, like I struck out, but I kept swinging that next at bat and I put the ball in play and we scored the winning run, or I got that single and now I was the winning run. And they get to see those big moments like that. So they continue to embrace the hard even when it gets harder, but they love the obviously success moments of overcoming everything too.
Yep. Yep. Um, what about your coolest, kind of most memorable? Let's first start on the playing side. What's your most memorable experience as an athlete?
It would have been probably my senior year at Erie High School. We had a freshman pitcher, Mariah Bledsoe. We didn't have pitching that year, and so Mr. Bledsoe actually put his daughter on JV, and we were like, "Coach, I need her up here. We got nothing." And so I took a freshman pitcher and we won state with her. And I remember she had so much trust in me, and I just let her know, you get me the ball and I'll do the rest. If you can hit my spots that I'm putting up where my glove is, I'll do the rest for you. And she was like, all right, I got it. You got it. I got it. I got your back. You got my back. And I said, we got your back, girl. And I definitely got your back behind the dish, and anything I could, I'd gain her strikes. But the biggest moment was in state. We played Holy Family. And I remember calling timeout. It was literally so loud, nobody could hear me. Called timeout, and I went out to the pitcher's mound, and I told her I need to ride the ball high and tie it in. She's going to swing. And she's like, okay. And I looked at my shortstop and second baseman and I said, it's going to be a pop up to one of you. So make sure you catch it. And they're like, all right. And it was one thing I was great at is reading hitters, and seeing their weaknesses, seeing their strengths, and understanding what they go after, what they're going to do, how their hands work and stuff like that. And literally the next pitch was high and tight rise ball, popped it up right to my shortstop, and we won the game.
Um, what level was Erie at that time? Was it 4A? at the
We
time?
were still
3A?
3A. They moved
3A.
to 4A in '09, I believe.
And now they're 5A?
5A. Yeah.
Yeah, so a huge population growth in Erie, Colorado. For those that don't know, there's tons and tons of new homes that have been going in there the last 10 years, right?
And still going up.
Big, it's still going. Yeah, big growth. Stay away. We have enough people in Colorado. Well, what about as an instructor, as a coach? What was your most memorable moment?
My
As a
most
parent?
memorable. So one of my coaching moments was huge, is when I was coaching at Erie, and we were in state actually, and so we had Megan Loveland. She was our pitcher that held us through the entire season. And I remember we getting to that championship game. We had Golden, and she gave us everything she could, and it was the brave moment of her to let us know, like, I have nothing left. I have literally given you everything. My tank is empty. And so we looked at Alyssa Barnett, and she went and warmed up, and she literally had fear in her eyes, like, I can't do this. And it was just because of doubt from past coaches, that literally told her she couldn't, literally told her she wasn't going to be anything, like her pitching was no good, things like this. And I remember grabbing her shoulders and looking at her, and I told her, it's just me and you. Me and you. Kat has your back behind the plate. If you have trust in me, I have trust in you, and I know you're going to get this job done. And she took a deep breath and she's like, okay, coach. Okay, I got you. And I go, all I need you to do is literally have tunnel vision. It's you in that glove. After I give you the pitch, dial in, lock in, and you've got this. And so I don't think I've ever seen her come out like more fierce and literally flip the switch. And she probably pitched, 60s. And I swear she threw 70 that game. Like, just something overcame her. And so she would always look at me for the pitch, and I'd give it to her, and I'd just tell her, like, reminder, it's me and you, it's me and you, I got your back. And so she would dial in and throw the pitch, and all of a sudden, she would come in and she'd be calm and collected. And we had that final inning. It was 13-9, us winning. And I told her before she went out, it's the final inning. How do you want to be remembered? And she just looked at me with a smile, and she ran out to the mound. And I remember giving her curveballs. And man, her curveball was moving. And we had the ninth hitter up. We had 2 runners on and 2 outs. And she didn't even look at me for the last pitch. She was coming unglued. And she probably pitched a 70-mile-an-hour curveball. And I remember Kat was like, it moved like nobody's business. And so we got that final strikeout. We all ran out to the field. We just won state. And I remember her eyes just filled with tears. And it still chokes me up talking about it, because she just looked at me and she's like, you were the only one who ever believed in me, coach. Thank you. And I told her, this was all you. This was all you. You literally took it within and you showed everybody you could. And she just loved the fact that somebody believed in her, and still to this day, she's graduated, she's married. And even when I see her, she's like, coach, do you remember state? Do you remember that moment at state? And I'm like, I sure do. And I still talk about it, because sometimes these kids just need that one belief in you. You're encouraging, and that we can do this. And sometimes it's they have the parents that always believe we love, care for them, but they need more, because your family's always going to be there. They're always going to back you up. But when you have that one coach that literally just has your back always, no matter right or wrong, and they help you through that life's journey, they literally can become something so much bigger. And she's succeeded. I believe she's a realtor now, but she's done so well for herself after that moment, after her senior year, that it brought a light to her, and she realized, I can do anything no matter what. And so that was one of my greatest literally moments of coaching, and seeing that and seeing others allow her to show what she's capable of doing in this world. And I love showing her her worth and what she's capable of, and impacting her in that way.
Brought up Kat, also, so an incredible battery right there. Kat went on to, was probably one of the best hitters in the state at the time, um, and went on to have a great college career as well. You had who are some of the other gems on that team?
We had Lauren Russell. She went on to do great at college, played pro in Germany. We had Maddie. She caught for us and played outfield, and she did some great things in college. We literally had like 9 seniors that year. Gosh, who else did we have? We had our freshman Jay. She was our only freshman on second base. Um, Yeah, we had a lot of them actually. But yeah, Kat was our battery behind the dish, and she was one of my athletes for 12 years.
Yeah, great career. I remember following her. She was what year was that?
That was in 2019. They were all seniors.
19. Yeah, so she was a couple years older than my daughter at the time. So we always looked up to Kat and her abilities. That's great. We don't have a ton of time left. Let's talk about your sons playing, right? They both play sport or baseball, or do they play other sports as well?
They've tried baseball. They did like it. It's too slow for them. They are very active kids. Actually started out in mutton busting in the rodeo life.
Oh wow.
Loved it. Yeah, they loved it. My youngest one, he always tells me, Bojangles, he's like, Mom, I only did it for the queens. They're really pretty. I'm like, well, dude, at least you're honest, you know? At least you're honest. But my oldest Braden, he did it. He rocked at it. He was the pro world champion of mountain busting in Wyoming. We went out there and they both did it. And his little brother beat him the first round, and he was like, "Good job, dude." And next thing you know, he was like, "Nope, ain't happening." And he beat his little brother. But they started out in that world. They tried baseball. Too slow for them. They were thinking they had to run everywhere and help everyone out and stuff because they love staying active. But they really enjoy basketball and football.
Nice. Nice. And so reflecting back now, right, through your playing career, your coaching career, working with all these athletes in the facility, what do you try to do more of and do less of with your own boys when it comes to like shaping their paths?
Try to coach as much. And I always tell them, because they're even in basketball and football, their teams are always like, "Can you coach them?" And I'm like, "No, I want to sit and be the parent. I want to be the mom."
Yeah.
Um, but when we train in here, I try not to get on them so hard because I know what that feeling's like. We want the best for our kids, but knowing my limits with them, they're still little. They still love the games. They still want to have fun in the training, but also knowing that fine line of knowing, well, if you want to be the best at this, you still got to practice it. You still got to have those reps in. You still got to give it your all. And so they understand that part of it, and they love enjoying the game in general because they've been surrounded by it and athletes in general, but they look up to every athlete of ours. And so I always thank my athletes for showing them what work ethic looks like, what never giving up looks like, what confidence looks like, because they are watching, like we talked before, and they sit there and they watch them and they come running down and they help pick up balls and they hear what they're talking about and they see that family culture we've built and how hard these athletes work. And it's really instilled in them by showing them examples instead of me speaking it. Because at some point, parents, our voices they become a tone, right? They're just a noise and they're going in one ear and out the other. But when they see everybody around them doing everything, they want to do it as well. And a lot of times when my baseball kids are in here, they're like, "Mom, can we hit with them? Can we field with them? Can we catch with them?" And they want to do the workout with them because they look up to them. And I'm like, "Yeah, grab your bats. Let's hit, hit with them." So it gives the chance of my athletes as well that opportunity to give back to my own kids and show them everything mom has taught them, but through their athlete's eyes.
Last question, because it popped in my head. Do you have any ex-athletes that you were their instructor now coming back, and are they instructors at your own facility that you work with?
So a lot of the bigs, actually, we call them our bigs, like Nevaeh and Jade, Tegan, Lauren Russell. They come back over summer, and I give them the littles. I let them do instruction of the littles, and they get to teach everything that I've taught them, and they love it. It's their job, for the summer. And then those littles get to just work right back into me. They never lost a beat. They enjoy meeting with their bigs and getting to see them and learn from them and ask them questions about college and stuff like that. So they come back a lot during summer and they jump right in with the girls. They'll either still hit in here or catch in here, but then I'll be like, "Here, take that group, go work with them." "All right. And they take them outside and work with them, or they're in here working with them. And you just keep building that family culture. And my bigs, I tell them, one day I'm not going to be here, but this will still be here, and you guys got to take over it.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. I love that. I love it's probably the most rewarding thing as a coach or an instructor is when those athletes come back to see you, whether it be to work with you or just to talk or just to chat or um, if they're old enough to have a beer. It's great. It's great to have that cycle of life a little bit. So, well, Axie, I appreciate all this time and appreciate everything that you're doing. If anyone's interested in lessons, catching or hitting in Northern Colorado, hit up Axie for sure. How would they do that? How would they reach out to you?
You can just text me. It's the easiest way. So my phone number is 720-982-3068, and I can respond faster that way.
Excellent. And then go and check out her book, Legendary Built. It's on Amazon. Get yourself a copy and support someone here in the local community. Actually, appreciate all your time.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Take care.
See ya.
Can dance, but you gotta keep it up a little something like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, like this.